What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about Black Ops 6 being out there in the wild. Yes, game cases are in hand, what this means, and even the full game file size. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and as a big reminder, there's plenty of brand new article coverage going up on detonated.com for those that want to stay up to date with all things Call of Duty. Now, two very big features are coming to the site as of this month, one of which is going to be around October 14th, so a few days from now. I'm super excited to share additional information, and the second feature is a lot more zombies focused. That should be dropping closer to the launch window of Black Ops 6. I've been pretty busy prepping a bunch of content for the next couple of days. I have a baby coming in the next 24 hours, and I'm super excited, man. Let's start off with the global launch times of Black Ops 6, because unless a separate blog post comes out, which I believe there will be one at any point before October 25th, I still wanted to go over the global launch times that I'm aware of as of now, based on what has been done in previous years for the Call of Duty franchise. So as of now, from what I know, it looks like October 25th at 6 a.m. Pacific, that should be when Black Ops 6 servers go online. That's when the embargo lifts, and when you'll probably start seeing a bunch of content on the internet about the game. That's campaign, multiplayer, and zombies, by the way. So that time that I gave you guys, 6 a.m. Pacific, that's pretty early in the morning. That's 8 a.m. Central and 9 o'clock Eastern. That's exactly when New Zealand gets access to Black Ops 6. Now, looking at how Call of Duty has worked in previous years, right when New Zealand can get their hands on the game, that's when anybody who either takes a trip to New Zealand, changes their account region, or gets a New Zealand copy can also jump in regardless of where they live. We also typically don't see an embargo that's after the New Zealand launch. Typically, you're able to stream and post whatever you want about the game as New Zealand does get access. Technically speaking, the game in North America is supposed to be out 18 hours later at midnight, going into Friday the 25th, but looking at, again, how Call of Duty has worked in some of the recent entries, we were all, as content creators, playing the game with the New Zealand trick much earlier than that. Now, I'm sure you guys probably saw images floating around the internet of physical game copies in hand. For PlayStation, for Xbox, yes, Black Ops 6 is out there. The game has gone gold. Physical editions are available to be held. However, putting a disc into a console won't really do much, and we're going to get into exactly why in just a second. But something really worth pointing out is the back of the game case does mention 137 gigs minimum required, at least that's for the Xbox, and around 145 gigs for PlayStation. Now, that's not too far off from what we've seen as minimum storage requirements from previous Call of Duty titles that have come out, specifically the ones for COD HQ. Typically, the base game is around 100 gigs-ish, give or take, and then COD HQ as a launcher also takes up about, I want to say 20, 25, maybe even 35 gigs. So add all that together, you're getting around 130 gigs, possibly a bit more, for Black Ops 6's requirements. Now, the thing is, right, people out there are probably going to freak with how big that is, considering in an older blog post for BO6, it was mentioned that they are aiming for the game to require less space than Modern Warfare 3 did. Keep in mind, these estimates put on game covers also probably take into account how much storage you're probably going to need after a bunch of updates do release, and I don't believe this includes having Warzone also installed in your COD HQ, but probably is taken into account that after a couple of seasons, there's going to be quite a bit of DLC inside of your Black Ops 6 download. Now, the thing is, I'm sure in a separate blog post very soon, they're going to provide us with additional information. Don't forget, in the coming days, we're going to end up seeing the COD HQ makeover and overhaul, and once you have that installed, that's going to also prep your launcher for the full game preload. But I think that file size on the back of the game cases probably takes into account that maybe you don't have COD HQ installed, which again is an additional 20 to 35 gigs. So to put a pin in this topic for now, until further notice, we could be looking at around 137 to 145 minimum gigs required for Black Ops 6. That includes 10 plus campaign missions, 16 launch multiplayer maps, and 2 round-based zombies maps day one. Now, for those worried about whether or not leaks are going to be popping up on the internet for Black Ops 6, here's what I'm thinking, right? Once that COD HQ makeover download does end up dropping, which preps your launcher for the BO6 preload, it ensures that you then have to cross-launch into MW3 and Warzone. When that comes comes out, according to the press and other insiders out there, it looks like that is the patch, which when paired with a disc is going to allow people to then jump into the game. But even at that point, you guys are probably aware that with any game over the last couple of years, the disc is really just a license, and once you put that disc in, you still got to download a big day one patch and a bunch of other updates that allow you to jump into the online services. Now, also considering the recent announcement that you actually can't play Black Ops 6 offline at all, you have to have an internet connection enabled, that also has me thinking that this will protect the integrity of even the single player, allowing people to put a disc in, and that's fine, but they won't be able to jump into any game mode to play anything early. Now, what I am worried about though is that if that COD HQ update does release, let's say this upcoming Wednesday, and then somebody pops their disc in, what if that somehow gives that player access to maybe just the single player? I doubt that things would even really work in multiplayer, maybe apart from private matches, and then they could of course maybe jump into a solo game of zombies since the servers won't be on. Now, this hasn't been confirmed yet, and I'm sure there'll be additional information when a blog ends up releasing about this, but people are noticing on PS5, campaign packs 1 and 2 have popped up, and you can apparently download these packs beginning on October 20th. PlayStation Size also went ahead and corroborated this and said that October 20th at around midnight is when these packs should be available. So maybe if people out there do have physical discs, they'll be able to jump into the campaign beginning on the 20th. At that point, make sure to mute a bunch of words on Twitter, but current file sizes, which could change later, include about 27.4 for both campaign packs, 12.1 for multiplayer, unknown amounts for zombies, and we're still unclear if this is the same update as the COD HQ Overhaul. Now, something also worth mentioning for the confusion out there that I've seen a lot of, by the way, is when it comes to the New Zealand trick, exactly how that works. So originally, from at least Cold War era, you had to go ahead and buy the game on a separate New Zealand account, at least if you were on PlayStation, and you had to make sure you were on a fresh PlayStation account. You couldn't just change your region on your existing PSN. On Xbox, however, you were just able to change your region easily and jump right in. It was that simple. On PC, I don't think it was really ever that simple or even possible, but I think with MW2 and the birth of COD HQ, you're able to just go onto your Activision profile and switch your region to New Zealand. As long as you put in a valid address in New Zealand, you'd be able to change your region, and when you hopped into Call of Duty on, I believe, just a console, it will let you play that new game a good 18 hours before the usual midnight launch time, at least in North America. But it's crazy to think back how some of these early launches used to work, especially for Call of Duty. If somebody had a friend of a friend or a connect that worked, let's say, in a GameStop or somewhere else, they'd be able to practically spoil the entire game before anybody out there even had their hands on it. And back then, I don't think it was too much of an issue on the internet. Leaks obviously existed everywhere, but I don't think they were as mainstream as they are now on so many different platforms and short form. Things were crazy back then, but things are even crazier now. And what I'm also hoping is, in comparison to how MW3 was handled, I'm really hoping that somehow there is some level of encryption or something to ensure that with every new season we get of Black Ops 6, we don't have a list of all the event challenges, rewards, and other surprises leaked out on Twitter weeks before they end up dropping in-game. I feel like that really takes away from the momentum and hype around certain content updates and certain events. Although not everybody looks into leaks or cares about them, it still is seen by a lot of folks in the Call of Duty community. And I also feel like interest surrounding cosmetics such as bundles was much different during the Cold War era. I feel like because a lot of the bundle leaks were getting striked, and because you didn't see as many accounts posting early footage of upcoming cosmetics, the interest in bundles I think was a lot stronger during that year. I think interest in bundles over the course of the later MW2 cycle and all throughout MW3 was a bit odd. I feel like the hype and momentum wasn't all there, but that could significantly change if somehow something is put in place to prevent a lot of leaks from popping up during the Black Ops 6 cycle. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. Just wanted to make a quick video for you guys talking about how game cases are out there in the wild. I wouldn't panic. I'm hoping that nothing really comes of it. Maybe it's just the case of, hey, people have discs, but I have to wait for the day one patch, which isn't for a while anyway. It's going to be right around when the game fully launches on October 25th, New Zealand time. Hopefully things are good. Fingers crossed that we are spoiler-free going into the launch of BO6 when it comes to campaign and zombies. With that being said, really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.